Hey everyone, welcome to the Heart Healthy Hustle Show. You're in for a treat today, so stay tuned.
What are you getting after? What seeds are you planting? What are you overcoming? Think big. Think even bigger. Take some risks. God's got your back. Go for it. Don't hold back. Don't ever have regrets in your life. Go fail. Go grow from those things. Live your life.
Your identity is not defined by your successes or your failures.
If you're not happy where you're at, you won't be happy where you're going. Choose to do the things that will make you the person you want to be, that will make you a better person next week and next year.
You're going to have to leave some things you're actually good at behind so that you can find what you're wired for, what you're born for.
Being a world-class entrepreneur is being in every area of life excellent.
It is the little things that are so easy not to do.
The best thing that you can do is assume the best in people.
I want people around the world to believe they can do something great with their life.
If I build the biggest business, but I destroy my physical body and I lose my health, I don't think that's success. While you're on the journey climbing to success, never forget the things that matter most.
If you like this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Today's guest, Joe Sheehey. Joe is somebody who left corporate aerospace to build his own space. Joe is the CEO of Curated Nutrition. After nearly 7 years in engineering at Lockheed Martin, he now leads a successful health and wellness company. Curated Nutrition was established in 2017, provides the health and wellness industry with top-of-the-line, uniquely curated hemp-derived CBD products. Joe is also the co-host of the Love Grown podcast. Joe has had success in the bodybuilding industry, the fitness industry, and now the health and wellness industry. As the CEO of Cured, he's now moving into a new season of leadership, demanding new growth strategies to be implemented. You'll really enjoy this conversation if you've been curious about CBD, you are a business owner, or you just want to hear an awesome podcast about life, business, and living wide open. Without further ado, let's jump into this incredible. Let's dive right in. All right, so we're back with Joe Sheehey, founder of Curated Nutrition. We had a great conversation before the show. With Curated Nutrition, you were talking about you're in a point where you're no longer doing everything. Now, you're the CEO, but that doesn't mean you're doing everything. It means you're learning how to operate things and put fires out and let the other people in the business operate it. Can you talk to us a bit about, from the start, what Curated Nutrition has done to... I'm interested to hear a brief story of how you started your business and the trials that you had to overcome, because it's been 2 years, you said, right, since you started?
Yeah.
And you're at a point now where I'm assuming you're cash flow positive. I really want to make this interview super in-depth and also very tactical. We want to get some content that people haven't heard about you and the business yet.
Yeah.
Talk to us a bit about that startup journey and how you rallied the troops, you know?
It's been crazy. In the beginning, it's you kind of go through the, all right, do you have hands? Come help me type thing. Like, we started it off with investment of only from myself and my business partner. I put in a total of about 42. He put in a total of about 7, and we were off to the races. And as it started, I was living in San Diego. He was living in Boulder, Colorado. My mom was in Littleton, Colorado. We had a janky website that I built, and we had about 700, 800 followers on Instagram. We were taking orders through the website. My mom was shipping them out of our office at my parents' house. My partner and I were running customer service, basically just trying to get it done in this 3-way triangular communication that was really, really just messy in the beginning. After that, we started doing some of our own production. I ended up moving back to Colorado. We were profitable in 8 months, so it was really, really quick to have a profitable business, which doesn't really happen for a lot of businesses for even up to 5 years. So that was kind of like a whoa, we're on to something thing here. And honestly, getting people to come in and help us as much as possible. It doesn't depend. It doesn't, like, I didn't care what their backgrounds were. If they were just willing to help, we would come bring them into the office. So yeah, it's been 2 years for up until about mid last year, July of last year. There was only about 5 of us involved, 5, 6 of us involved. Now, as of 2 weeks ago, I've hired a director of sales. I have a COO. I have a director of operations. I've got a marketing manager. I've got a social media manager, a fulfillment manager. We've got a bunch of guys in production. We've got 5 or 6 subcontractors that do our email marketing and SEO. And we really have a business now that has close to 20 people operating it in every single day. And then a big team of affiliate marketers outside of that. So it has become a big in my mind, but big compared to the 3 people that really started it. And as I was alluding to before the podcast, was since from the beginning of the business to now, I have touched every single piece of the business. I've made a CBD oil. I've put the seal on it. I've sealed it. I've put packages together to ship to customers. I've done customer service. I've done all the marketing. I've done all the purchasing. I've done all the HR. I've had to experience every single piece of building this business. And what makes it really hard for any entrepreneur out there that has actually built a company from scratch is to then give up control. Because when you've done every single piece of it, you've done it in a certain way that has felt like the correct way to do it, because you have nothing to base it on. Once you start hiring people and bringing people in, things are going to start operating a little bit differently. And as long as the actual job is getting done, the details of what that means to make it happen don't really matter. Now, that's really hard to understand when a business, and what is now a multi-million-dollar business for myself, it's my baby. So, I don't stop thinking about it. It's a 24/7 thing. And now I'm in a position, as I've been the CEO the entire time, but I've also been every single other role. Now it's understanding, what does it actually mean to be the CEO? How are you showing up every single day and painting the canvas for your employees to see where we're at now, where we're going, and what are the high level decisions that I have to make every single day so we can continue to scale the business and push forward into the future of the business? And what is Cured as a whole? And where is it going? What's the ultimate plan for an exit or whatever it is coming down the road? That is the ultimate goal. We plan to exit from the company at some point. We're actually in the talks right now with some investors in the natural food industry. And we've gone through, from inception to now, really, if there are a couple words to just describe it, it's severe growing pains. And it's every single day understanding, like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I have to now do something that I've never done before. I'm not coming into this with a bunch of experience of owning a business. It's a learning practice every single day. And people ask me, you went to school for engineering. What do you think about that now? Was it a waste of your time? You put a lot of money into that. What I tell people is, engineering, and especially the schooling part of it, but then the industry side of it, taught me how to solve problems. And that's what I do every single day as a business owner. You wake up, and some problems are worse than others, but every single day you're solving a problem, you're finding a solution, and you're pressing forward. And as the CEO, I'm starting to step back now more and more to really just be able to, okay, here's this well-oiled machine. All the pieces are moving around and operating correctly. Now I can go make the big decisions to continue to move this business forward, which didn't exist for a really long time. And it also feels really weird because I've been used to, since day one, having the list of 150 things to do and just checking them off. And now that's starting to go away since all the pieces of the puzzle have come in with my employees. And now it's the next step of, okay, go back to being the visionary that you were in the very beginning of the business and continue to push this business forward, because your team needs you to do that rather than watching over them every single day. So if I said I knew exactly what I was doing, I'd be lying to you. But I show up every single day and I'm curious and I know that I can figure it out. That's really the only way to approach this, and that's really the only way to approach life.
When you say growing pains, I mean, that's a good thing. That's what you want, right? No one wants pain, but the growth is good. I'm interested to hear. You're based in Colorado, correct?
Yep.
Which part?
Just outside of Denver, actually. So our farm's actually in Pueblo, which is really close to Colorado Springs. And then our main facility is just outside of Denver, Colorado, in a city called Lakewood.
Colorado has a lot of different taxing jurisdictions. They got some weird stuff going on with sales and use tax as well. Really weird stuff. I think it's probably the most THC tolerant state. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I'm curious though, what are some of the pains you've had to overcome, especially in the early days, from taking this product that people are looking at it like liquid weed, which it is not? Explain to the audience how you overcame the educational hurdles, and I'm sure you're continuously deal with that at some level. You mentioned you had 2 different podcasts. One of the things that helped you grow was the fact that you had a podcast where you were essentially interviewing and building relationships with people in the professional fitness industry. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. And a lot of those right off the bat became affiliates of Cured. So that was like just a network that was my marketing approach from day one. But it's been painful the entire time. And if I want to tell you the one moment that sticks out in my mind that I haven't really told too many people about it, but I do bring it up now and then, is our second month of business, we had 30 grand stolen from us. 30 grand stolen from us because of the banking and the credit card processing issues around this industry. So I got shut down by all the major credit card processors, and the processor that I used for a solution to all of this ended up running with all of our money the day after a Cyber Monday sale. So imagine this, you quit your comfortable, right, really comfortable, secure engineering job, September 2017. You pour all the money that you have into the business. You're watching your bank account go to zero very, very quickly. You're now selling product for 2 months. You're showing some traction. You have the biggest day in sales that you've had yet, actually quadruple any day that we ever saw. You ship out all of that product, and then next week you find, well, you have no money, you shipped out all of your product, and were you even doing something that's legal? So all of these questions are rolling around in my head. I have a pit in my stomach. I'm leaving San Diego because I'm running out of money. I'm going to move back to my parents' house. Then I get that, and we got that 30 grand stolen from us. It was like the next day I was really like, okay, do I go back to the engineering world? Do I just give up after a couple months? It was days of just feeling this, you know, when you're really stressed and you have a cortisol response and your whole body feels like it's almost just like numb, like tingling.
Yeah, terrible.
Well, I felt that for like about 10 days. I couldn't sleep. I had no idea what to do next. Yeah. And finally, just through a bunch of conversation with my business partner, I was like, you know what, man, it sucks that this happened. We ended up hiring a lawyer and spending a bunch of money on a lawyer, all to get nowhere.
Wow.
But I said, you know what? I think we're on to something. And I know that we can actually make this happen if we persevere. We both pulled money out of our retirements, put it into the company, and just pressed forward. And we're actually now a really well-thriving business. But I could have given up. And that was one of the most painful experiences of my entire life, because as a brand new business owner, you don't know how to approach that situation. I've had things stolen from me before, but not 30 grand of my operating capital that brought my bank account to zero. And I shipped every single product out. I had no inventory and no money. And I said, it's the only way. It's the only path. And people ask, what's the backup? There's never been a backup plan. And that's the only reason Cured has become as successful as it is, because it's been the only way for the last couple of years.
Wow. So a couple of questions arise from what you just shared. What do you think pulled you through that really challenging time? I'm curious tactically, was it the hope that, oh, this actually made a lot of money, so as long as we can work out these legalities, we'll be straight? Was that in the back of your mind to give you some hope to get through that dark chapter?
You know, man, it was one, yes, understanding that there was traction and people wanted what we had. We saw a huge community growing really quickly. But two, I've always known what I personally am capable of. And sitting at my engineering job in a cubicle, listening to Joe Rogan saying, what the hell am I doing, man? I know that I can do more of this. Yes, I have a great job. I'm making good money. And I'm actually doing something that's really cool. But I don't feel like I'm actually delivering impact to this world. And I knew that I was going to create impact. And I knew through Cured was going to be the first avenue. But I know that there's many avenues after this. And I said to myself, do you want to go back to that state that you were in corporate America? Or do you want to prove to yourself that you can actually do what you know you can? And to me, I said, as much as this hurts right now and as much as I hate this and as uncomfortable as I am, I know that I can push forward. And I just went into operate mode and full function mode and woke up every single day with a fire in my heart and, put my morning routines into place, put my daily, if I didn't have my routines and my eating and my training and all of that was actually letting me live at my most optimal state, I wouldn't have been able to push on. So it was the understanding that I know I'm capable of. It was 2, taking care of myself. And it was 3, seeing that there was a community and a demand around what we were doing.
I don't want to get too much into legalese because it's boring to listen to. However, I am curious, when you're doing something like this, especially in 2017, into early 2018, when you're kind of getting it going, explain that difference between a CBD oil and THC, because you said that you actually grow everything. You control everything from manufacturing. You control the plants that are grown, then how they're harvested into actual product that you deliver. Is that right?
We used to. So last year we did, but as we scaled the business, we had to find a partner farm. So we're actually partnering with a farm called Shy Farms in Pueblo, Colorado. It stands for Sustainable Hemp Initiative, but they have a beautiful, beautiful, high quality and amazingly processed operation going on.
Is that just due to the growth?
Yeah. And so we knew that we needed to find a partner, but so it was yes, we were controlling the actual farming aspect of it, but when we talk about the you were alluding to the distillery, it's actually the extraction facilities. So you have a lab that brings in all the dry hemp material, and then what you get out from that is the actual extract. And really the only difference between the 2 plants is the THC content. So you were talking about, okay, so what's the difference between THC and CBD? Well, they're different cannabinoids, but a CBD oil, if it's a full spectrum oil, can have the trace amounts of the THC in it. And the difference between the 2 is, one is so small and so trace that you're never going to get those high psychoactive euphoric effects, whereas the other one is you're actually going to feel that high. So yeah, that's kind of the difference, but we oversee the entire process. And as we grow, what was more important was to establish those business partnerships rather than trying to say we actually own every single piece of it. Now we actually have like a contract. Okay, so we're more or less like business partners, which allows us to scale quicker.
So I love this concept. It floors me because yesterday, right, I was going through a list of my undones. That's a concept taken from the book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. My favorite TV show, I don't know if you've heard of it, is called The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis.
I haven't heard it.
Oh, dude, you're going to love that. I know you don't have much time to watch TV, but it makes you feel like okay about watching a 40-minute TV show. It's similar to, he is taking these business owners who were all over the country, right? He goes in and he says, okay, you need to throw out all your old inventory because it's not selling. You need to then go connect with, like you did, you went and found a bigger operation that you could partner with, right? And many times what you find is it makes things so much faster, easier, cheaper because they're doing it at scale. Whereas if you own the whole farm, you have perfect little control of snipping each little leaf, right? But you are actually so much more capital being poured into that because you don't have as a startup, you wouldn't have had the mass production and the affordability
and resources. Like if we could have gone out and raised a bunch of capital, but we didn't. We self-funded this thing from the very beginning. So it was bootstrapped with $50,000 of a lot of my money and then my business partner's money. To turn $50,000 into a multi-million-dollar business is actually really hard. To say we're going to do the products, we're going to do the farming, we're going to do the extraction. that's just impossible without a huge initial investment. It was kind of the let's try and let's evaluate type thing. And there's something called bright, shiny object syndrome that all entrepreneurs have. Yeah. So you get into the entrepreneurial world, you start to see something extremely exciting, and then you say, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And you're going to be off spreading your resources so thin that you're actually not even making any forward progress. And that's a really dangerous place to be in. And I've seen us actually go that way multiple times. And I just have to pull us back, say, hey, we're going to pull the plug on that operation. Let's look at our cash flow. Let's understand the actual resource load that requires and what's the better option. And exactly like you alluded to, it's the partnerships that you can entrust in and that can get something done for you while you just say, go and deliver us and we'll deliver you a check. So it's just a completely different operation when you actually have those partnerships that you can lean on.
Yeah, to delve into that topic, one of the reasons that you shared earlier was for starting this was your involvement in the fitness industry. You were a professional bodybuilder, correct? Or in that space?
I never made it to the professional level. I actually was top 5 at the national level for a really long time. And then I won the Flex magazine model search at the Olympia. And after I won that, I was done after that. I was like, I won enough money there to look at the professional stage and say, okay, I just won as much money as a lot of the professionals do. What am I chasing? So I stopped the actual competition and kept the relationships and the love for the industry. But yeah, the fitness industry is really what ignited this whole business.
And I think it had to do with the recovery aspect. Is that right? Because you mentioned that this CBD oil helps promote sleep and that can accelerate recovery. If you don't have the sleep aspect, that's a huge piece of the pie for these professional competitors.
Yeah, 100%. And some people say they use it specifically for sleep. Being able to sleep is actually like a secondary or tertiary effect. A lot of people can't fall asleep because they can't calm their mind down. Taking CBD oil helps calm your mind, helps relax your body. When you get into that relaxed state, you can then fall asleep. And then as you were saying, if you're not sleeping, you're not recovering. So yeah, I started taking it, about 2.5 years ago before starting the business. And I noticed my anxiety lessening and lessening. I noticed my sleep improving. And I said, okay, there's something here. I'm going to dedicate my time and effort to this, and I'm going to bring it to the health industry that can actually shift the perspective on this plant. So that was the whole approach was, let's take something that's stigmatized and let's destigmatize it using health and fitness professionals that are highly respectable.
And you mentioned that you met these connections through your podcast. What was that one called? Is it still published so people can go listen to those interviews?
It might. Let's see. It was called Committed Physiques Radio back when I was competing.
Committed, that was 2016, right?
Yeah.
What drives you, Joe? You have to be a driven individual. You were doing this competing. You were looking how to serve your peers, and you were podcasting about it. So what was driving this?
The desire for more than what I was getting in my current life. Ever since a young kid, my parents would always say, Joe's going to be the one that grows up, that has the house, that has the guest house that the parents live in. And so my parents painted this vision for me from a very young age, which did put a lot of pressure on me, but it showed me very quickly what other people saw in me and what people knew I was capable of. And I knew since as far as I can remember that I would be somebody that actually had a leadership role in a community of people that looked up to them, not only just for high achievement, success, working really hard, but for understanding that this human experience is difficult. And we're all just trying to figure it out. So that is where the podcasting side came from. It's like, I have a message and I've been extremely depressed. I've been suicidal and I've made it through that. Wow. And I've found fitness and I've changed my life. And I've changed my life so many times, which to some people on the outside could look very like, wow, that's non-committal. And I've evaluated that at times. But what it really has been is I've been trying a lot of things to my ultimate potential. And I've seen that it's not going to be through just one success or one achievement that's going to make me happy, healthy, and fulfilled. It's through understanding I'm going to learn something from each of these experiences, and I can combine them all together to find myself and to understand that it's not out there. It's not an external validation that's going to make me wholesome. It's the internal. and I get the internal through learning external experiences. So it's just been it's been an experimentation of myself and like what I'm capable of. And if there's something hard, I'm going to run straight towards it and give it a try.
So you would say, I love that concept, and that's something that keeps me going, even though, like I told you before this show, I'm at a point where I want to do all the stuff that I'm enjoy doing, like speaking with people. I don't think that it's valuable for me to become a master of editing, even though I'm getting there. It's like, who cares, right? It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you spend 60% of the time, or 80, 90% of the time, the admin work, and then 10% is actually speaking with people, which is what it's all about. I think that what you shared there is so impactful. I had a fitness YouTube channel. I did almost 200 YouTube videos. I got like 150 subscribers, right? 2016, 2017. I started an athletic apparel company that I just put on the back burner because I knew nothing about business. Still basically feel the same way, but it was at a point where people really liked it. They validated the product. And then I just said, I invested. It was a very small operation. I put another $500 into these really nice premium hoodies that I thought that would fly off the shelf. Nobody bought any of them. Maybe like 2. Ooh, that hurts, man. That hurts. Because then it was like, all right, your product sucks. Or just you don't know how to market it. So I was like, ugh. So I have that box.
But you tried.
I tried. And
you learned from it.
Yeah, and I developed relationships. I helped serve I did the local printing. I learned how to go to the post office with a bunch of packages. I learned how to try to market. I learned how to have athletes. I learned all these little things of communications, and it's just all these trial and errors and being willing to go and fail and fall on your face. And it's like you said, people may look at you and people will judge you. It's like giving out tickets to say, oh, here you go. You want to judge me? Here you go, here you go, here you go, especially in the social media era. But I think that that's good. I think that if you can be thick-skinned, I think our generation is kind of having this conversation, whereas Gen Z, they're going to be coming up and just, that's just how they were raised, and they're not even going to think about that. That's going to be a bypassed part of their mindset. Duh, of course, like, yeah, everybody judges everyone. This is it. You know, they're going to understand leveraging appearances and like all that stuff so much more callous than we ever will, because we're kind of looking at it from almost like that grandparent view of, oh, well, like, this is a new thing, and like let's accept it, or let's work with it. Whereas those kids are going to come up and just steamroll, also recognize the reality that it's good to have conversations, but also that limiting mindset of, oh, you're non-committal. It's like, yeah, you do need to commit and specialize and go all in on stuff. But once it fails or once it succeeds, you put even, it's just that idea of constant improvement. And this is what I'm getting at. All those things that I did, I literally pour all the lessons that I learned from those things into the podcast now. And I'm so excited. I'm telling you, I'm so excited too, talking with you about this, because you start to then say, okay, well then what's the podcast going to lead to? What's that going to lead to? You know, is it going to be live events? Like, what's it going to be next? And so it's exciting to see somebody like yourself, where you've taken 2 podcasts, one in particular that you were able to build relationships with, that you use to learn and grow and strive for more production and output from yourself. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, man. I didn't know that this was going to lead, like the podcast was going to lead to this. I was trying to start a fitness coaching business when I started podcasting. And that's not what I'm doing now.
Yeah, no. And again, it's that idea of the, you want to be the one providing the shovels, not the one digging for gold, right?
Yep. 100%, man.
I'll be honest with you people on here. I just bought a pressure washer so that on the weekends I can make some more weekend cash to expedite paying off a couple loans that I have. And I'm looking at that like, there's no money in that, John. Why would you spend all your time doing it? But my idea is try and fail. I looked online, right? Here's the thing, which is good because my mindset wouldn't have been here if I hadn't been doing all this other stuff. I'm looking on Amazon buying pieces that I need, right? And I'm like, the real money is finding the product on Amazon, not serving you. So like I need an M22 connector, which is a quick release plug. And I was thinking about, I want to buy a 2-pack. I can't find a freaking 2-pack on Amazon. I know somebody has the product, but they haven't listed it as a 2-pack for like $12. I bet you I could sell a butt ton if I just go outsource that to AliExpress, drop ship it on Amazon and set that up. And like something like that could end up making me 10 grand in a month, possibly, or 30 grand, I don't know, versus me making like a couple $100 of cash. So it's all how you look at things. It's all how you look at things, you know? It's crazy.
100%, man. 100%.
So I want to talk about that a little more. It's been here the whole time. This is what I wrote down as a concept I want to talk about on one of my solo episodes as well. What else has been there the whole time, right? Like this hemp farm that was there ready to contract with you the whole time. What else is there that's been there the whole time that you can leverage, that you guys are considering looking into for cured nutrition, that would help your processes improve, increase efficiency, and ultimately increase your revenue generation?
Yeah, I would say just the community of people in Denver that we've been leveraging. This community has always been here. We're actually now partnered with Lululemon in Boulder, Colorado. I'm partnered with a bunch of other big podcast networks, and they've always been there. And these people that are now becoming close relationships to Cured and to myself have been friends that I've established, and relationships that I've established over these 3 years, and they've been there this entire time. The social media aspect of our business operated the entire business for the first year and a half, close to 2 years. And now social media is not working the same. These relationships have been there over the last couple years, and I haven't been leveraging them to their full potential. We've started to leverage them over the last couple of months, and we're doing these community wellness events. We're bringing people together in Denver, Colorado once a month. We're going through yoga flows. We're going through breathwork sessions. We're going through functional training, and it's sponsored and put on by Cured. We have our products there. We bring people there for free. We put together a whole event based on relationships that I've had this entire time that I didn't know how to leverage. Now, as we saw social media start to change and advertising on social media not work as well as it used to, I've gone back to, okay, this is my network. You guys have been there the entire time. I've established and maintained these relationships, but I didn't see what I could actually create with them without asking to have them join us in this wellness event series that has started to become our new way of marketing. So something that I think people need to look at is relationships that have been there for a very long time in your life. If they've been there for a very long time, they're there for a reason, and just understand if you're utilizing them to their fullest potential. And if you're even asking them for help, because if you're not asking and you're not getting a no, well, you're also not getting a yes. And if you haven't asked, you really don't know the outcome of any of those.
When you say that, can you give us an example?
Yeah.
Like for me, let's say selfishly, what's something I could be doing, you think, or what I could be asking others? Like,
yeah, I mean, I like one thing would be, hey, like, share my podcast. Tell some people about my podcast. I'm sure you have a large network of friends that know or maybe you have, maybe not large, but I'm sure you have friends that know your podcasting that have never told somebody that you have a podcast, or something similar to that. Something super, super simple that we overlook all the time. I started going into so the manager of the Lululemon in Boulder found me on Instagram, started messaging me, asked me to come by once last year, and was like, hey, come try on some of our new clothes. We're trying to push our men's line more and more. I showed up, checked it out, got some clothes, then didn't really do anything about it for a little while. Then I started talking to her again, and then she said, hey, come by again. And now I'm actually an ambassador for Lululemon in Boulder, Colorado, and they're sponsoring our events. But nothing ever happened until I asked, say, hey, like, I'd like to be more involved with you guys. How can we collaborate more? I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know something can come of it. So I asked, and now they bring yoga mats to all our wellness events. I've become an ambassador for them. And to say that you're partnered with a Lululemon, like, that's a pretty big, it's a pretty big statement, but it didn't come without, it took me asking about something that, like, I really didn't know the outcome of, but I had developed a relationship that was there, and then now I'm utilizing it to its fullest potential. So just things like that people can overlook pretty easily. I think if you sit back and kind of evaluate your life and your relationships, and you look about where you look at where you want to go in life, you can find, a person or a connection or a prior relationship or experience that you can actually leverage to help you pursue what it is you're chasing.
What about present day? What else do you think it's been there the whole time that you guys have been putting off that will help you guys?
Investors. There's been people that are saying they wanted to invest in our company since the very beginning, and we've said no. Now we're at a point where we're trying to scale from, multi-million to 10 plus million a year in revenue. And we need investors for that. So now we're going to actually utilize them.
Yeah, man. So let me ask you, are you leveraging a familial relationship, or have you just come across a financial mentor or group of mentors in each category that help guide you? Or are you really just trial and error? Because I know you know the value in, seeking people who've gone before you. So in a point like that, let's say after this interview, you're like, yeah, you know what, let's do this. Investors, you go out, talk with all these investors, let somebody invest. Are you then just going to be like, all right, now we have this chunk of cash and capital, what are we going to do with it? Or are you going to actually like sit down with your team, or do you sit down with the mentor, then with your team? How's that work for you?
Yeah, the mentorship aspect has been, it's been a tough one, to be honest. Last year, or the beginning of this year, I actually enrolled in Aubrey Marcus's Fit for Service Mastermind. And he's been somebody that I've looked up to for a really long time. He runs On It, which is an amazing human optimization company. And I wrongfully enrolled in that thinking that I was going to get a business mentorship. And now that I look back at it, I know that if I would have dove into that head first, I probably could have developed the relationship that I wanted to. But the details of that actual mastermind weren't the business mentorship focus that I needed. So I was really struggling for a while with that. I was, talking to people all across the nation saying, hey, like, I just need some help. I need some mentorship. And then, after multiple trials and multiple failures to find that right person, I was at a Lululemon event, actually. I started talking about my journey with Cured. Another guy at the event said something about he's creating a men's movement and is starting a men's group. And I was struggling with some stuff at the time in my personal life. And I talked to him after the little meeting, and he goes, man, I'm going to start a men's group. Are you interested in joining? And I just said, yes. I didn't know any of the details. And the second time we met in that group, I met my now current mentor that I had no idea was going to come into my life. I started talking to him. He's built and sold 3 businesses. He's now mentoring several entrepreneurs, and I meet with him. I'm actually meeting with him tonight for dinner, but I had an idea of what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And it ended up just falling in my lap. And it was so important to find that mentor that has actually done exactly what I want to do, but you never know where that's going to come from. And I heavily rely on him and his expertise to help guide me in all the decisions that I make. And when it comes to this next step of business with taking on the investment capital and understanding how to play all the different pieces, those mentors are going to be extremely, extremely involved. And then it's just having the conversations with the team and making sure you're putting together that big plan and identifying areas of risk, and then asking people like my mentor, Joe, his name's Joe as well, what he sees, if he sees areas of failure. So I lean heavily on people that have been where I want to go.
I want to jump into the Heart Healthy Hustle round. I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. 3 categories of the show are heart, health, and then hustle. For the first category, it's heart. What activity or do you leverage to care for and strengthen your internal character?
Yeah, I tell people all the time how much I appreciate them. I meditate almost every single morning. I was going to say every single morning, but I was going to lie to you. Most of the times when I do meditate, I'm thinking about the people that I'm grateful for in my life, and getting out of that meditation and sending a simple text of appreciation is massively, massively fulfilling to my heart.
That's huge. I like that you use the word appreciate too, not just, you mentioned gratitude, but appreciate is almost like a verb. So not just grateful for, but appreciating.
Yeah.
So for health, how do you maintain your physical health and avoid burnout? You got a lot of stuff going on. I think it's great that it is within the health realm. So you have a holistic approach to health, I assume, but I'll let you go ahead and explain that.
It's funny because a lot of the products that we've created have been specifically for myself. I want a product for focus. I want a product for sleep. I want a product for reducing inflammation. But outside of that, it's just letting my body move in the way that it wants to that day. I love going on walks with my dog. I love doing yoga, and I still love lifting like a bodybuilder. So I just ask myself every single day, what's going to fit into my schedule for today, and what type of movement is my body craving? And then I just follow that. It's been heavy on the yoga over the last year. After years of bodybuilding, I couldn't move my body really well, and this yoga has completely transformed my life. And it's really hard, man. So I wake up, I check in with myself, say, hey, what are you feeling today? And that's what I go do, allow myself to do it. And carving out that time, I'll be honest, over the last 3-4 months, I've struggled with it. I've really struggled with it. And it's been since the age of 13, I had gone to the gym every single day. And this 28th year of my life has been a day where I've probably missed the most days of going to the gym. I've supplemented that with other types of movement, but I'm also learning to forgive myself for that and to say that, hey, it's actually okay that if you miss a day. I think we're caught up in the idea that we have to do every single day, and I fall victim of that all the time. But if you don't, you have to give yourself the grace to know that it's okay and you can get back on the train tomorrow. But moving my body in the way it's wanting to is the way that I just always am on top of my health, because if I'm not moving physically, and then I'm not doing what I can do for my full potential of my life and my health.
Hustle. What's your why?
My hustle is because I know that I can change people's lives. I know that I can. I see the reviews come through podcasts. I see the messages come through Instagram around Cured. And I know that I'm actually making a difference in people's lives. And the amount that fills me up is it's unexplainable.
Is there anything in your background that you'd be willing to share? You mentioned that you've battled depression at one point or another.
Yeah. I've actually experienced bouts of depression my entire life, and pulling myself out of a couple months of depression just recently. Some of it is genetic and familial. Other is, I say that I like to see that I'm impacting other people, but you talked about the heart and the health aspect of life. There are times where I almost put other people before myself too much. And when I start to do that, although a lot of it does make me feel good, there's a ceiling to it. And if I try to go past that ceiling, I stop taking care of myself. I become a people pleaser. And when I do that, I actually noticed myself getting depressed. I was depressed 6-7 years ago because of drug and alcohol use in college. And I've experienced actually those same depressive feelings multiple times throughout my life. And the repetition, the pattern that I see is I'm not taking care of myself to my full potential, and I'm actually not allowing myself to be a little bit selfish where I need to be. Now, there's a lot more that comes with depression. There's such thing as treatment-resistant depression. I go to therapy all the time. I check in myself all the time through journaling and meditating, and I have a really, really conscious and vulnerable relationship with my fiance. We share everything. We share insecurities. And through all of that, it really helps me. It helps pull me out of the depths and understand that, hey, I'm human just like you're human. We're all going to feel these feelings at times, and it's actually okay. And you're not alone, because there are other people that feel that way, and know that there is a means to an end with everything. You just got to recognize you're in that position and know that you're going to be okay, and know that you have to ask for help and be selfish. Because if you're not selfish, you're going to be stuck. There's a healthy amount of selfishness that we all need. And I think people forget that at times.
Appreciate you sharing that, Joe.
Yeah, man.
Transitioning into the conclusion of the show, I want to ask you your 3 most influential business books or resources. At the beginning of the show, you mentioned you're dealing with a lot of, now as a CEO, the HR aspect of things. So share with us what you got.
Yeah, so the number 1 book that I tell people to read is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Listening allows you to multitask. Let's say you're driving to work, you're running errands, cleaning up on a Saturday, whatever you're doing. And that's why I've reached out to audible.com. I became an Audible affiliate, so you can get a free audiobook. I use Audible for many of my audiobooks, tremendous selection of books readily available. So if you don't want to spend a monthly subscription to Audible, put in your name and email, at which point you can listen to that audiobook, keep it forever, and cancel your subscription before 30 days so that you don't get charged for the monthly subscription. This way you get a free book. Go to triplehaudiobook.com. That's HHHaudiobook.com.
That book is really what launched Cured. We were a 0 to 1 in the fitness industry. We're the first ones to bring cannabis to the industry. 0 to 1, go check that out. It's an amazing book. How to Win Friends and Influence People is a really, really good book. And then my third resource would be Tim Ferriss and his podcast, because he brings the realest, most influential entrepreneurs that you've sometimes never heard about onto the platform and just speak truth around what it means to be an entrepreneur. And that is actually really grounding, because once you start to listen to more and more people on his podcast, you know, his conversations are wide ranging, but the business focused ones, you'll notice that we're all the same. We're all human beings. We're all having the same experience. And those people that you look up to that are really successful and influential, they're not much different than you are. You just got to understand how they show up every single day. And Tim Ferriss has been somebody that's been amazing for me to listen to over the years. So those are two amazing books and a podcast that I would highly recommend.
Thank you. That's excellent. Excellent. Definitely going to add those to the wish list there. And the How to Win Friends, I've done a few times. That's a great read. I like the Tim Ferriss reference. And I think the really interesting one to me is going to be 0 to 1. That's really fascinating. I've heard
it's a really good book.
Okay, great. Do you use a software management tool? Do you use a CRM? Are you using anything like Salesforce? Any tech tools that you leverage?
Yeah, my team uses Salesforce. I am not heavily in that, but I use Evernote all the time just to take notes.
Popular app. That is such a popular app. Actually, I first heard of it from Tim Ferriss myself. That's funny.
Yeah. Yep.
Right on. By the way, man, your products are gorgeous. Like,
Thank you.
love the frosted glass and I'm not colorblind, but it's like a deep green, but it's also against like a cream. It's so well presented. It's so premium.
Yeah.
I really do like it. I think it's probably one of the most appealing packagings I've ever seen. So great work.
Thank you. We're super stoked on that. Our branding agency actually won a bunch of awards for it. So rightfully so.
Do you have like in-house graphic designers?
They're all contractors for us, but they're here in the Boulder, Colorado area.
Cool, keeping it local. Yeah, Colorado's got a tight community, man. I've interviewed 2 people from Colorado Springs. If you're ever out in Colorado Springs, check out the Wild Goose Meeting House Cafe.
Okay.
That's a friend of mine. He's the co-owner of that restaurant. There's another one too. It's called Neighbors Meeting House. Great cafe style. Yeah, man, that's really cool that you're supporting that local community as well. It's the park bench paradigm. So if you present day Joe, 28 years old, could go up to, the early 20s Joe, even if it was only a couple years back or if it was a little before that time, you'll see yourself sitting on a park bench. Maybe you're out in a state park in Colorado, wherever you were. You could walk up, put your arm around your own shoulder and say anything. What would you tell him to do or not to do? Or what would you share with him and why?
Yeah.
And use the pronoun you, like you're talking to yourself.
Yeah. You need to slow down and enjoy the present moment, and you need to allow yourself to play. I've spent a lot of my life achieving, and if it weren't for that characteristic of mine, I wouldn't be where I am today. But there are a lot of times that I look back and just say, I should have slowed down. I should have taken a deep breath in the present moment, and I should have just played the way that I want to. Playing as adults is extremely important, and I think it's a concept that's very foreign to a lot of us. And I wish I could go back 8-10 years ago and say, hey, slow down, play more, really enjoy the day-to-day, because there are a lot of experiences that I look back on over the last 8 to 10 years where I didn't fully live in that present moment and enjoy it to its maximum. And I do have a little bit of regret around that. It's tough to say. People say don't have regrets, but if I could have slowed down and said, hey, it's okay, like I can do this tomorrow and I can enjoy the present moment, I think that it could change a lot of my current probably happiness around chances or opportunities that I've had to be fully present in an experience and play.
It's therapeutic too.
Yeah.
Recreation is a crucial piece to the pie that I don't do enough of. I'm so grateful that you shared that because it's so true. It's so true. Man. And do you find that after you do some recreation, you actually are more productive, feel better, have a better mood?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Joe Sheehey, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been a great conversation. CEO and co-founder of Cured Nutrition. Share with the audience how we can go ahead and connect with you, connect with your brand, and show some love after the show.
Yeah, for sure. So myself, Joseph Sheehey on Instagram. That's SHEEHEY. Cured Nutrition is found on Instagram. www.curednutrition.com is our website. And you can find all the good information there. The Cured Collective podcast is where we put a lot of educational content out on. But hit me up on social media. I'd love to talk to anybody that listened to this podcast and found it helpful or anything, and just connect with more and more human beings because we're all in this same experience together.
Awesome. So again, we didn't get in depth with CBD, but there has been an interview that you did with our mutual friend Chase Tuning on what is CBD. Are marijuana and CBD the same thing? Is CBD safe? Will it make you fail a urinalysis? Does CBD get you high? All those questions and many more are answered on that interview with Chase as well. I wanted to share that if people are curious to do more research on this. It's a very hot topic. Yeah. It's very popular right now. And I see the way you're approaching all this as very sustainable. And I'm excited to see what's next for you guys, whether that's a lucrative exit or it's something even bigger that you build from this foundation. So, Joe, thanks so much for coming on and sharing a bit of your experience and wisdom with us. Really appreciate you, brother. Congratulations on making it to the end of this episode. What about this episode stood out to you? Next, I need your help sharing this show. I want this podcast to impact and reach 6,000 people per episode by August 31st, 2019. And I want us to reach 15,000 people per month by March 29th, 2020. Have you been enjoying multiple episodes of The Heart Healthy Hustle? I'm thrilled to share with you an exclusive invitation to join our new Facebook community. To get to know other Heart Healthy Hustlers, simply go to thehearthealthyhustle.com/Facebook, where you can expect to see different members of our community being featured weekly in Facebook Live calls. I appreciate all of your love and support, and I will see you in the next episode. As always, be generous on every occasion. There is a story for you, and live wide open.